English language learners throughout the state of New York are currently more likely than native English-speaking peers to be placed in special education. These students are being identified with learning disabilities or speech and language impairment, and are less likely to be placed in the least restrictive environment. This video will talk about the issue of overrepresentation of ELLs in special education, the factors that could be responsible for this issue, and the proposal we made to tackle this problem. The data chart displayed by the Institute of Educational Sciences analyzes the data of disabilities and race. The data shows that 37.3% of students in special education with an identification of speech and language impairment are of Latino descent. A contributing factor of why English language learners might be overrepresented in special education is that there is not enough time for the English language learners to learn English in order to perform well on state's standardized tests. They do not have opportunity to learn reading and writing long enough to meet the state's standard on these tests. According to Cummins, it takes English language learners 7 to 10 years to become proficient in academic language. Right now, English language learners should not be evaluated for at least 3 years in order to determine if they are struggling due to lack of acculturation or due to a learning disability. Another contributing factor of why English language learners might be overrepresented in special education is that mainstream teachers lack knowledge of second language acquisition. According to Collier, teachers are supposed to understand how their English language learners learn best and how much background knowledge a student has in their native language to help them in the classroom. At the same time, teachers should be aware of students' diversity based on their cultural backgrounds. Lacking understanding towards students' native language proficiency and cultural and linguistic differences, teachers are less likely to ascribe students' lower academic performance to a disability. This is the common misconception between difference and disability. Another contributing factor of why English language learners might be overrepresented in special education is the lack of professional development and training in students' culturally diverse and linguistic needs and strategies to support English language learners in the classroom. Based on the research, our proposal is to start a committee in the district that would help create a systematic plan to provide students with appropriate instructional accommodations and interventions in order for them to reach academic and linguistic achievement. Within the committee's work, the members would work together to advocate for English language learners to have an extended time period before referral and evaluation into special education. When students are referred to special education, the committee would create a rubric to determine necessary accommodations for assessment. For example, bilingual evaluation, nonverbal evaluation with bilingual consideration, English assessment with culturally and linguistically diverse considerations, or an English assessment, based on the number of years the student has resided in the United States and the number of years in ESL or bilingual program. The committee can also collaborate with administrators and curriculum coaches to provide professional development and training for staff, teachers, and parents. Recent workshops and professional development opportunities for staff can include presentations on cultural relevance and on how to incorporate strategies in the classroom to differentiate and scaffold for English language learners. The teachers will be provided with Tier 1 instructional strategies and linguistic accommodations to support English language learners in the classroom in order for them to access the curriculum. The committee can also provide pre-referral supports to all families of English language learners in the school with training and educational function to help support their children in school and bridge the home and school communities. Lastly, the committee can advocate for a grant in order to hire a bilingual literacy interventionist. This staff member would be bilingual, have a literacy and oral language background, and do Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions before referral into special education. Interventions could begin as soon as the team deems it necessary, and students would have the opportunity to have academic interventions in their native language. Our goal is to decrease the overrepresentation of ELLs referral into special education.